Welcome to Super Talk, the podcast that scratches your superhero itch. Just two suburban dads nerding out over superhero stuff on the small screen and the big. Buckle up, people. Enjoy the ride.
All right, here we go.
Welcome, YouTube. Big Deadpool episode.
Big Deadpool news episode.
We got a lot. This is a big episode. We got a lot to go over. Let's get this party started. Professor, as always, like a gentleman, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
In 3.
Welcome to Super Talk, the weekly podcast dedicated to news and reviews of comic book media on the big and small screen. This is episode number 89. I'm your host, Brian Professor Pettis, and with me, as always, is my illustrious co-host, Titanium Tony Estrella. Titanium!
Don't say never. That's my quote of the day. Don't say never.
Never say never.
We got an exciting episode, folks. We got a lot to talk about. A lot went down this week.
This was an incredible news week.
Yeah.
What I'll say is, we have weeks where there's a lot of events that take away from the news of the week, so there's not really a lot of news items. Like, for example, when it was D23 week, the entire week was all about what was going on at D23. There was no other news coming out. Right. So we have some lulls in the news. This week, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was like the news just all of a sudden broke all week long.
Without giving anything away, the stuff that broke this week, bigger than D23 or about on the same par? What do you think?
I think some of the impacts of the announcements from this past week are far more reaching than what we got at D23.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, let's do that.
Let's get into it.
Well, before we get started, we always want to thank the listeners that bring the show to you. Those are our patrons. Patreon.com/supertalk is how you join the patronship. You become a patron of the show, donate $1 every time we come out with an episode, and it helps support the show directly. So patreon.com/supertalk if you want to become a member. We really appreciate everybody who does that. It really helps us out a ton.
Yep.
All right, well, let's get into the review section. We've got a lot to talk about. There was a new episode of She-Hulk this week. We need to talk about episode 7. I think you will agree with me, Titanium. This was another filler episode.
It really was. I thought it was cute. It was kind of fun. I know a lot of people are reading into some of the exterior characters that they introduced here. It was like, oh, that person was this and that. Guys, no. It was a filler episode. It meant nothing. We will never see those characters moving forward in the MCU.
If I look at the way that this She-Hulk show has gone, I think they started off on such a high note with the first episode with the Hulk in it and her getting her powers. And then it has gone downhill. We're kind of at this low point right now. And I do believe, based on the trailers that I've seen, we are finally getting the Daredevil episode, this next episode, which I think will ramp back up to where we wanted it to be. And I do believe the finale will probably be pretty good as well.
I think so, too. We only have 2 more episodes of this whole series left. 2 more. And I think you're right. The last couple were very low filler episodes. The Daredevil episode, the most anticipated episode, will be off the charts. And then the last episode, I think they'll close out the storyline and answer a lot of the questions that we have. The big one is...
Where's Hulk?
Not just where's Hulk, but who is Hulk King? Like, who's the
big
mind?
Bad,
who's
right.
the big bad behind all of this, trying to steal her? And I think that will help us move forward in more stories moving forward.
Yeah. So this episode really centered around a couple of things. Jennifer had met this guy Josh at the wedding in the prior episode, and he seemed very interested in her.
Yeah.
Jennifer specifically, which. That's why she liked him, because he wasn't interested in She-Hulk. He was interested in Jennifer. And the episode starts off with them going on several dates. I think 3 or 4 different dates, and she's kind of like leaving him at the doorstep and not kissing him goodnight.
Suspect. He was suspect from the beginning. I knew
you called it last week.
Yeah, there's something up with that guy. I think he was too
smooth
and too perfect.
Yeah, too smooth. Too
smooth.
Wanted to meet her. Called her a beautiful woman. Also stuff, and just feeding exactly into her ego. But eventually they do, after like the 3rd or 4th date, they do end up hooking up and sleeping together. She wakes up in the morning and he's gone. but she's so giddy, and she's texting him, and he doesn't text her back, and she's like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah.
And, I'm sure many people have been through this in their lives, and in today, I think it's even harder now with cell phones and everything else, that the reason why you wouldn't communicate with somebody is even worse than it was before. But she basically got ghosted by him, and it devastated her because she was so happy. And it's I think every woman and a lot of men's biggest nightmare is we go on all these dates and we really like each other, and we finally do the deed, and you never hear from him again.
She felt a connection, and she felt that there was something special there. So you can't blame her for that. I felt for her. I was kind of pulling on the old heartstrings there because.
Well, then it just made him be even more suspect, right?
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. You were like, okay, something's going on here.
Go.
But then the rest of the episode really centered around her going back to visit Blonsky at his compound, so his safe haven that he has after being out of prison on parole. The parole officer calls, said there's a malfunction with the what do they call it, the inhibitor device on his ankle, and so the parole officer asked her to accompany him out there.
He's scared as shit he's going to run into the abomination.
Yeah, he's like, I could use some backup, basically.
I could use a Hulk.
Yeah, I could use a Hulk. She goes out there. We get to meet some of the other kind of super villains that are in Blonsky's care at the moment at the compound. Therapy. What was it? Porcupine. Yeah. What was the swordsman's name? I can't even remember his name. What was that? And then this Man Bull.
Yeah, Man Bull. He says he's not a matador, but he's more
not
of
a matador.
Swashbuckler.
Yeah. But we get to meet all of them, and they're in group therapy, and she's kind of like, her car gets damaged by the two of them fighting, and so she's stuck there, and she's just like wandering the compound trying to find a cell phone signal, and stumbles in upon their session, their therapy session. She ends up becoming part of the therapy session. They talk about Josh and all this other stuff. And the episode was really a lot about her coming to grips with the fact that she was ghosted and all this other stuff. So that was primarily most of the episode. I didn't think there was anything of massive substance during that whole process. Nothing really that was blowing me away. The big scene came at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's where the whole substance of the episode was.
Right. They go back 3 days earlier from before she went to the compound, the night that they hooked up, and we see him basically copying her cell phone, and then he takes a picture of her. And this is still confusing. I'm not sure if he sent the message as Hulk King or if he was sending the message to Hulk King.
I thought he sent it to Hulk King.
So that's what's confusing, because the way that they show it on the screen, it just says Hulk King, and he sends like a syringe emoji and a blood emoji and all. So I don't know if he was sending it as him or to him. So I was
under the impression he was sending it to it, like mission accomplished, phase 2.
Yeah, we don't know. So so is he Hulk King or is he sending it to Hulk? We don't know. We have no idea. But it makes you believe that somehow, some way, he got her blood sample, or we don't know, or maybe he
fluids?
did.
Fluids?
I don't know.
I don't know how to get into that.
I don't know. We don't know.
It's supposed to be a.
But he is basically either working with Hulk King or he is Hulk King, and obviously he's a dirtbag, and the reason why he hooked up with her in the first place was to
get her blood.
So he works for the intelligentsia to some extent, or is part of it, or runs it, or whatever it is. So
Well, that's what I was saying in the last episode. I think they need to close all that out.
Yeah, we'll find
close all those storylines out.
Interesting
that one of the characters in the therapy circle, was from the Wrecking Crew, one of the
guy,
crowbar guy from the Wrecking Crew that was trying to make amends and change his life.
And she wasn't happy to see him there. She attacked him, and he was like, "Whoa! I'm trying to fix. I realized being a thug with a crowbar is not a good life mission, right?"
Yeah. That was funny. That was a good tie-in. Brought in the story from before, but it's a little filler episode. But
we're very much looking forward to this week's episode, and I can't wait to see Daredevil back on screen. And I think from what we've heard, that the connection between the two of them is very real on the show, and you can kind of see some, a little bit of chemistry between them.
A little sexual tension, maybe?
Yeah, a little bit.
Interesting.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. So I'm really looking forward to that. and we'll close this series out over the next couple of weeks. And again, we only have 2 episodes left. We did get another big release this week. Today, as a matter of fact, this morning, Black Panther Wakanda Forever tickets went on sale, and we also got a brand new trailer.
Well, we called this as well, right? We said that now that the marketing is being ramped up, we're going to get another trailer. I thought we wouldn't get it until October 15th, but the first week of October, I'll take it very early from what I thought it was going to be. And what'd you think of it?
Look, I think we got a little bit more substance. We
got really, confirmation.
It was really focused on Namor and Atlantis, and the struggle between Wakanda and them.
Yeah.
It kind of really focused on them talking about who this person is and what he's been known as. They had some great scenes of him flying, which was just awesome with his little wings on his feet and how it like he's able to fly with them.
Like kind of jump fly through the air.
Yeah, it's really, really cool looking.
Yeah, it looked badass, to be honest with you. It really looked badass. A little bit more of the storyline. We got more of a feel of T'Challa's death and them mourning him.
And the impact it's having on Wakanda. Because everybody just, the mother, the queen, basically says, I know what you all are thinking. Your protector is gone, and you're weak. And she's like,
right.
I'm going to show you, basically, how weak we are.
Yeah, I think that was the title of the whole trailer was Show Them Who We Are.
Right.
Which was strong. I really liked it. I'm pretty hyped for this now.
But the big reveal at the end of the trailer
we called it.
We see a Black Panther character drop down from a very big height, lands on the ground, and it's a female.
It's definitely a female. I mean, the suit had boobs.
Yeah,
it's definitely a female. It's Shuri.
Yeah,
right. I mean, come on, it is. And even the dots on her head, even the dots on the mask, kind of matched. So we spoilers, but if you haven't figured it out now, you really didn't watch the trailer very closely.
Yeah. So that's somewhat confirmed now. So.
You got a couple of...
We'll see how we get there. We'll see, that's part of the movie.
Couple of scenes with Ironheart in them.
Oh, yeah, we got to see Ironheart Suit.
Yeah.
That was badass in the trailer, too.
You saw the Mach 1 in one scene in this car chase. She's flying through the air, and she's got these cool goggles on. And then the other scene, you see another, I think, Mach 5. I think that's the suit that she's in at that point in time. And, you know how they did Tony Stark in that... Like he's in the helmet with the heads up screen around his face. They had a shot of her with the heads up screen around her face.
She's screaming. She's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. That'd be cool. I mean,
I think that's going to be a big, pleasant surprise of this movie is the Ironheart character and bringing an Iron Man-like character back to the MCU.
So here's something interesting. I agree with you. I just don't want them to think that she's going to take the mantle over from Iron Man, because that if they start doing that, I think that'll kind of cheapen who she is. They should keep her Ironheart, not the new Iron Man replacement.
You and I have some real, I think, pointed thoughts about what we think Marvel is doing and why they're doing it. And I don't think this is the show for that.
Right.
And maybe we take some time during one of those lull times to kind of talk through what Marvel is doing. The fact is they are diversifying the characters in the MCU dramatically, introducing a lot of female characters who are really not A-list characters or B and C-list characters, but I think they're
not
working very hard.
They're doing a lot of C, B level characters.
Yeah, but they're working very hard to bring some balance to the teams and the MCU characters that we're being exposed to, because they don't want to make it seem like this is just a big group of guys that are going off and doing all. It's not the Expendables, right? That all these guys are doing all this stuff. It's women too.
We'll get into it, and my theory is that they need to sell toys, comic books to a younger generation. And different crew, but we'll get into it one day.
An episode for a different day, so we'll get there.
Here's something interesting. Namor, the character that plays him, and I don't want to say his name because I will absolutely butcher it. So his name is
Tinoch
Huerta. Tinoch Huerta. He came out and said that Namor is not a villain. He's not the villain. He is an anti-hero, but he is not the villain. Now, does that mean he's not the villain in this movie? Or he's...
And there's another villain that we don't know about yet?
That's what a lot of people are speculating. That's what a lot... And then you and I have said several times that this would be a great opportunity to bring in Doom. At least an after-credit scene, right? And find out that he's behind all this tension between the Wakandans.
It makes you want... I mean, the scenes from the trailer tell you there is a definitive conflict and at least fight scenes and battles between the Wakandans and the Atlanteans. There is. We've seen it in the trailers.
Yep.
Now, is that the crescendo of the movie? Is that the middle of the movie? And then ultimately they determine, we've been duped. We should be working together to fight this other, thing that's out there. And
Namor gives them the finger and is like, hey, I don't like you. I'm not going to partner with you, but I also don't like being manipulated by this other thing, and I'm going to take care of it and fight it myself. And then they realize they're on the same team. That would be cool, right?
Yeah. And I think that's what we're looking forward to in the movie. Knowing Marvel, they've always done a very good job of hiding a large majority of the plot
bigger story
and the bigger story, and they don't give a lot away in the trailers. If what we've seen in the trailers is what the movie is about, I think we'd both be very disappointed. I do believe there's a lot more to this story.
Yeah.
And the other thing we got confirmation from this past week, another news item, was this movie is going to be 2 hours and 43 minutes long. It's now going to be the second longest movie in MCU history behind Endgame. So this is going to be a long movie. And I think part of the reason for that, you and I have talked about this, Titanium, I do think they dedicate a substantial amount of time early on to address T'Challa's passing and him not being there and giving him proper respects. And that could be 30 to 40 minutes at the beginning of the movie.
I think they will spend that kind of time on that. Because like we've said, we've talked about in the podcast before, I think they are going to do a movie funeral for the public.
Right.
They're going to honor Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, as the Black Panther in this movie.
But our big fear was that it was going to take up a substantial part of the movie, and we were like, well, if it's a 2-hour movie and they spend 45 minutes doing a funeral and there's only like an hour and 15 minutes of an actual movie, we'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that it's now 2 hours and 43 minutes means they can spend 30 to 40 minutes up front
and still have a 2-hour movie.
And still have, exactly.
And the scenes with Namor and all that tells me they're really going to get into his character.
Yeah.
They're introducing a brand new character, and it looks like they're doing it
We're going to learn about him, his whole family, his society, where he came from, who they are.
Namor. Yeah. All of them.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
It's going to be cool. I'm really looking forward to it. And that statement that he made is very interesting. You can read into it or not read into it, but I'm really looking forward to this movie. It kind of overshadows Black Adam a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, again, timing is everything.
They both launched their ticket sales on the same day, so Black Adam tickets are for sale today too.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. Ooh. All right, so let's jump into the rest of the news because there was a ton of news this week.
Yeah.
Big bombshell dropped earlier this week. The director Bassam Tariq.
Yep.
Was the director of the Blade movie.
Yes.
Left the project. Just up and left. He resigned his position as director. I believe he's still staying on as in a producer role.
Yes.
But he resigned his position as director. The other news was the project has now been delayed indefinitely, and they're going to be doing a complete rewrite of the script.
They hired a new writer, Tanya something, I forget her name, but she wrote the original script. And the rumor is it was about...
Well, they brought somebody else in to do the script after her, though, right? And then...
Her script apparently was about Blade mentoring a young girl with his same similar powers. And I don't know if that would have worked at all. Another mentor story, bringing in another young actress. I mean, this movie should be focused on Blade.
Can we just focus this movie on Blade, please?
Yes, exactly. So they hired somebody else to rewrite the whole script. And Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
Did I hit it really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nailed it.
Finally. Mahershala Ali apparently has been very vocal and upset the direction that the script was going, and was like, I'm not behind this.
He said, this is not the movie I signed on for.
He's now publicly coming out and saying, I'm frustrated with the production of this. I'm frustrated with the direction it's gone. I'm frustrated with and you can't have an Oscar-winning actor sign on to this and then have him starting to pull back.
You saw who they brought in to write the script now. It's the guy who wrote Moon Knight.
The guy from Moon Knight,
Bo DeMaio is his name, and he wrote the Moon Knight script, and so that's who they brought in to do the rewrite, which is fantastic.
It's great. I'm feeling better about this as well. Do we have a hint of who might be directing it?
We do know who will be directing it. So that was the other big announcement. Was Sam Raimi has now been tagged to direct the Blade movie. Huge. Obviously, bringing him back for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was a big get for Marvel to bring him back into the fold and direct again.
He knows horror.
Yeah, and again, he's a great horror director, has a horror history. I think some of the horror elements he brought into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness were good, but I don't think it was the right place for them.
Yeah.
I do think this is the right place for his type of directing, and
he can get gory.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, and and again, that's another question: is this going to be an R-rated movie or a PG-rated movie? We don't know that right now. Right. But Sam Raimi, great. Get for them to tag him to this project. I think Marvel, after the success of Doctor Strange, they were looking for what his next project might be, and this is just a natural fit.
Yeah, I think it's a good move. I think it's a good call in a pinch. With everybody leaving the project, I think it gives it some stability too. But the fact that it's indefinitely and that it was going to start filming
November.
Soon.
The filming was set to begin in Atlanta in November. Atlanta and New Orleans, I believe, are the two places they were filming. That was supposed to start next month, and so now being delayed indefinitely means we don't know when it's going to start filming. No announcements about moving the date. It's coming out next fall, I believe next November or something like that.
That's not happening.
Yeah, you would think if they don't start production, until January, February, that there's no way they can meet those deadlines. So we'll see.
Interesting. But that was another big bomb drop.
Big bomb.
In the industry for at least Marvel news.
My hope is that some of the other projects they have slated for later dates. So if you remember, Marvel did this earlier this year. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania swapped spots with the Marvels.
Yeah.
And they pushed the Marvels back to the summer, and they moved Ant-Man and the Wasp up into that slot.
Yeah.
My hope is that there's other projects further along that they can move back into that November time slot and maybe just bump Blade a time slot or two and move the other ones up. So I'm hoping that that's what happens, because for them to just skip a release date would, I think, be very damaging to their schedule and what they have, kind of planned out going forward.
I agree. It'll be interesting to see what they slot in that spot, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It will be interesting. So, more news this week. Our favorite Iron Fist actor, Finn Jones, came out and announced that he wanted to revive his role as the Iron Fist.
No, thank you.
In a Heroes for Hire series on Disney+.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
This is the one Marvel Netflix series actor that you do not want to come back. All the other ones you're fine with.
Nothing against him.
Wait a minute, nothing against him. I love that.
Nothing against him as an actor or a person, but for this character, he was miscast, and I thought he absolutely did not do it justice. I thought it was an abomination. I'm just going to be, I don't like it all, people. And people, there's, you're all in. You're on the payroll. You're on Disney's payroll. I'll tell you right now, first of all, I'm not. And second of all, this is one where I will stand up and say it to the man's face. Man, that's not your role. It's not a position. It's not a character that you can do justice. I just don't see him in that character. And it really, I had a hard time watching that show because of him.
You and I differ on this. Number one, I love the character. The character Iron Fist is great. And I love the character.
Love the character.
Love
the comic book character.
Yeah.
Great story, really unique story.
I thought, the story, I thought both of the Iron Fist series, and as a matter of fact, the appearances he made both in Defenders and he was on the Luke Cage season 2 as well.
One of the greatest villains ever, the Hand. So badass. A gang of hatchet-wielding karate guys, ninjas. So cool. But No, not him, man.
I didn't think he did as bad as you thought he did, and I love the character, and I love the story of both. And again, we've gone through this before. The Netflix series suffered from, I think, too many episodes, and they had to extend these series out so much that sometimes the plot crawled along. But I actually liked his character. I didn't think he did that bad. You absolutely despised him from day one. Yeah. You despised the casting when it was initially announced. That's you despised it.
That is
so
true.
You didn't give him any chance from day one.
No. As soon as they announced him as Danny Rand, I was against it.
Yeah.
No. So maybe I went in sideways.
All right. Well, we'll see where that goes. Again, no official announcements. He just said, I'd like to come back. Of course he would. Why wouldn't he?
Everybody's coming out of the woodwork saying they'd like to come back. So.
Yeah. Yep. And another big news, again, more big news this week. So we were, Armor Wars was announced at D23 as a Disney Plus series coming in 2024 sometime. They now have shifted gears and are changing this from a Disney Plus series to a feature-length film. So they're going to be converting Iron Wars from a multi-episode Disney Plus series to a 2.5 hour movie, and that's great news.
Thrilling, like absolutely thrilling, and
I don't know if it's because they didn't think they had enough material to fill a 6 to 8 episode series, or if they said, "Hey, this is a story that needs to be on the big screen." I hope it's the latter.
I hope it is too, and I think from what I'm hearing is some of the suits that they have planned for this, multiple different suits. I think they brought back Justin Hammer. That actor that plays Justin Hammer is going to be in this. Don Cheadle. I mean, he's an icon. I mean, he absolutely.
Sam Rockwell, I believe.
Sam Rockwell, yes.
Yeah, the actor played Justin Hammer.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oscar-winning actor.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They got him to come back. I think, and I also think they looked at the script with like, wow, this is a great script. This is really good. And this is another thing. I'm just going to throw this out there. I think they got Robert Downey Jr. to come back as either an AI system or a hologram. I think he's coming back for
that is so in the comic books, there was an AI version of Tony Stark. It featured heavily in the Ironheart comic books, as a matter of fact, where Tony Stark was. You know how Tony Stark has, originally had Vision, but it was
Jarvis.
Uh-huh. But then moved to Friday. After Jarvis became Vision.
Friday's voiced by?
I don't know.
That's the Spider-Man AI, right?
No, that's the Spider-Man.
Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly. The
even her voice
Friday's
is
a Scottish.
The Scottish. Okay.
But I think that there's a possibility that Robert Downey Jr. may come back as an AI version of Tony Stark to kind of help
in Armor Wars.
I
absolutely think that's why they're pulling it into a movie.
That would make a ton of sense. That if Robert Downey Jr. is coming back,
you're not going to put him on Disney Plus,
right? You're going to make it.
You're going to make it a movie.
Yeah. So that's been some theory around.
And that relationship between Rhodey and Tony Stark.
Well,
is amazing.
And again, I have a theory out there that Secret Invasion may show some things about Rhodey. I think Rhodey's a Skrull right now. Okay. The Rhodey we have, and we may be getting our Rhodey back, which would make sense for the Armor Wars movie as well. We'll see how that Secret Invasion storyline moves forward. But this would be a fantastic get. And for it to be a movie, I think like Justin Hammer's coming back. We know the guy who was the in the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, who was the
arms dealer,
underground arms dealer. Yeah. He's coming back too. So, look, this is going to be a really good thing. I think this is great for them to make it into a movie.
Hey, I hear there's a spot opening up next November. Yeah. That'd be pushing it.
That would be pushing it.
They'd have to start filming.
They'd have to start filming soon. But anyway, really good news there. Look, and another bombshell dropped, and I don't know if you had seen this, Titanium, but.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford is now rumored to be joining the MCU, and the role he is rumored to be joining the MCU in is the revival of General Thunderbolt Ross, taking over for William Hurt, who passed away last year. Harrison Ford coming back to take on that role and take it over, and effectively give us the opportunity of potentially having a Red Hulk in the MCU sometime going forward.
I got two feelings on this.
Yes.
One is that, and no disrespect to Harrison Ford, but he's 83 years old.
Is he 83?
He's 80 something.
No
dude.
way.
Yes.
Seriously?
He's in his 80s. I believe he's in his 80s.
I'm just saying. Up now.
You please look it up. I just don't think you can commit to Thunderbolt Ross moving forward with an actor that, God bless you, Harrison Ford. I think he's one of the greatest. He's an icon of our time.
He's 80.
He's 80. He's in his 80s. How do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
And
when Thunderbolts aren't even filming for another year.
Yeah.
That's tough, man.
But he could pull it off. There's no doubt about that.
I get it, but you introduce Red Hulk with him, and then you have...
Well, here's the great news about that, is that he's Thunderbolt Ross, and he gets turned into the Red Hulk, and then you have somebody else doing the CGI suit, and he's just the voice. He doesn't have to be on screen anymore because he's...
At 89 years old? 88 years old?
I'm just saying, he wouldn't... If he ends up becoming, he may have to be in the first movie, the Thunderbolts movie or whatever, as Thunderbolt Ross. But then if he turns into the Red Hulk, and then we get the Red Hulk character, he's just the voice of that character.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. What if Hulk King is Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross? And he is the Hulk King.
And then we see Harrison Ford in the final finale of She-Hulk?
That'd be too big. You don't put Harrison Ford in a Disney Plus.
Down.
Yeah, let's pump the brakes on that one.
Well, and again, some of the reasons why this rumor is out there is because there was some discussion that they wanted to, during D23, Harrison Ford was already there pumping the Indiana Jones movie, Indiana Jones 5, that he's going to be in.
God bless him.
Yeah, no kidding. At 80. But they were pumping that. He was there to promote that movie. And they were like, Kevin Feige wanted to bring him out on stage and announce this, but... they didn't want to detract the attention away.
Of Indiana Jones was like, absolutely not.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not. You are not going to make any announcement. You are not going to mention Harrison Ford whatsoever.
Yeah.
She didn't even want this rumor to hit the wires. She has publicly come out and said, Indiana Jones, we've got to focus on Indiana Jones 5. It's coming out, blah, blah, blah. She totally redirected the questions about this. So, I don't blame her. I don't see it. Now, that being said, I know I'm a negative Nelly, but that being said, if it does come true, holy shit. Yeah. That's a huge get.
I mean, it just goes to show the success of these movies, the money these actors have made, the fame and fortune it's brought to anybody who's been in the MCU. Nobody actors have become superstars. Superstar actors don't feel like it's delegitimizing their careers. It's actually just something fun to do and a great character portray. Yeah. They're getting, Oscar-winning A-list actors to come into the MCU. Everybody wants to be part of it. Hey, why not?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Man, that'd be huge.
Well, let's get to our topic of the week this week, which is brought to us by our friends over at Studio GG Studios. Home of the man band, Corn on the Cob.
Corn on the Cob. And you know something? I'm going to splice in here one of their latest hits, Blueberry Pie by Spider Timmy.
Pie, pie, blueberry pie. I love me some blueberry pie. Pie, pie, blueberry pie. I love me some blueberry pie. Delicious. Blueberry pie. Kim loves blueberry pie. He downs it with whiskey and rye. Whiskey and rye, blueberry pie. He loves blueberry pie. Blueberry
Oh my God. How'd you like that? That's hilarious. That's an instant classic. So excellent. Great job.
Thank you, Studio G, for all your help and
Absolutely.
support with the show, as you always do. Please go visit their YouTube page. We link it in the show notes every week. Big news this week. This was like the bombshell of all bombshells that was dropped. I believe it was Tuesday this past week or Wednesday this past week. Ryan Reynolds came out on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, did a small little quick video. He came out and he said, "I apologize. We weren't at D23. We've been working really hard. We've been working forever trying to create Deadpool 3 for you. It's been a long, arduous journey." And he said, "Frankly, I'm out of ideas.
Yeah,
I really have no idea. I got nothing. I don't even know what we're going to do. We're working on it. We just, wish we could have been there to give you some news, but we have no idea." And then Hugh Jackman...
Well, he goes, "Well, we did have one idea."
Yeah.
And then Hugh Jackman walks
Hugh Jackman's walking behind him in this apartment that he's in. And he said, "Hey, Hugh, you want to play Wolverine again?" He goes, "Yeah, sure, Ryan." So, humongous news that
massive.
Deadpool 3, when the first video came out, they announced it is coming in that September 6, 2024 time date that we assumed.
Yeah.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Yep,
Marvel dropped a movie release date in February they had originally had on the schedule, and they picked up a new date in September of 2024. And we said, well, we thought that was going to be the Deadpool slot. We figured they were holding it, just not telling us. Well, it was officially bumped, and that was the slot for Deadpool 3. So it's September 6th, 2024 is when Deadpool 3 is coming out. And they did a big thing, coming Hugh, like Hughn, Hugh Jackman. But the other big get is Wolverine's coming back. Hugh Jackman is coming back as Wolverine for Deadpool 3.
That is, again, that kind of news kind of overshadows what
Everything.
they did at D23.
Yeah, everything.
It's huge news.
Imagine
For
if
them to pull
those
that
two
back.
were on stage at D23. That would have been... We would not have been disappointed about D23.
That is right. That is correct. That one bit of news would have made D23 all that worthwhile.
The next day, they came out with another video of the two of them sitting on a couch together, talking about, their thoughts.
I know you guys have questions. That was the big one. It's like, we know you have questions, so we wanted to clarify a couple of things. One of which is Logan happened in 2029. Logan
the movie occurred in 2029.
Where Wolverine dies. We're not touching that. That still happens. Our movie happens way before that. So that was a huge,
like how are you bringing him back? Isn't he dead?
Yes.
And the answer was, that movie happened way in the future. Our movie's happening in 2024, which is 5 years earlier. And so this is how he can still be alive and be in this movie.
Yes.
And then they went into, and here's what's really going to happen. And then they do this,
they play music and they start mouthing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they do this,
People are trying to read their lips, trying to find out what the plot is.
It was just gibberish.
It's nonsense.
Yeah. But, so that was just great to, again, double confirming that it is Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine in Deadpool 3, and they're working on it together, and this is just...
It literally broke the internet. I had 4 or 5 people texting me immediately.
Yeah.
Gavin Klingham up in New Jersey was texting me and sent me the clip. Our good friend Greg Vire was like, "Is this real? Is this real?" I was like, "Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
It's going to happen." And I think it's so interesting that these type of things can bring so much hype to a movie. It's amazing. You got to start doing this, Marvel. You got to start doing this kind of stuff.
Promote it early. Make these announcements early. Don't leave us hanging. Just go ahead and just give us the news, because it gets us excited.
Oh my God.
Now everybody's excited to see this movie. Will make $1 billion.
Oh, and it brings back my theory about Armor Wars. You bring Robert Downey Jr. back, even if it's a hologram or an AI, you bring him back, that kind of hype, oh my God.
Yeah.
This broke the internet, and it was just this little announcement.
This might be the first rated R movie to ever make $1 billion.
That'd be awesome, and it probably will. So many people want to see what Marvel is going to do with Wolverine.
So the question now is, there's a few questions, and you and I can kind of talk about this a little bit. First question is, who's coming back? So the characters that we saw from the first two Deadpool movies, who's coming back? So we know at the end of Deadpool 2, he got Cable's time machine device, and went back and retroactively fixed a few things, changed a few things, and that was kind of like the funny ending of that movie. One of the things was he saved his girlfriend. So he saved Vanessa from dying. You know, that was one of the first things he did. So does Vanessa come back? Big question. Don't know the answer to it, but maybe.
Maybe.
Does she become the something cat? Copycat. I can't remember what her character's name is, but she was a hero.
She's a smoke show. Wouldn't mind her coming back.
You're
in talks to bring back Domino.
Well, we know the one actor we know is coming back is the actor who plays Colossus. So we know Colossus is coming back for sure. So he's going to be in the movie without any doubt. Questions, are we going to get Cable again?
Right.
That's a big question. Is this going to be Cable, Deadpool, and Wolverine, or is it going to be or is it Deadpool and Wolverine, and maybe some other characters like Domino and Colossus and others,
and super Sonic teenage nuclear. What's her name?
Negasonic.
Negasonic
teenage warhead. I think it's Warhead.
Like
Negasonic teenage warhead.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a badass name.
Yeah.
Will she come back?
And Kimiko.
Kimiko. Love you. That was so funny. That movie's going to be. The hype around it already. Yeah. And it's just two little clips you let out.
So here's the question. So do we think? Some of the big questions out there are: is the Fox universe of characters, like all the X-Men, Deadpool, all Wolverine, all the X-Men characters we had in Fox, are they in a separate universe from the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And is there going to be some collision between those universes, the multiverse saga? Is there going to be something that brings them together? Are they going to be hopping universes? Or is Deadpool going to come into our universe, similar to what Venom did, during Spider-Man No Way Home, and same thing with the other versions of Spider-Man?
I think that'll be an after-credit scene.
So
I think we're going to have to wait for an after-credit scene. Deadpool 3 is a great after-credit scene if we don't see him before that. And I don't think we will.
So other theories out there is, Deadpool and the X-Men have always been in the MCU. We just didn't know it. And they're going to, kind of bring him in sideways and say, how did you not know these characters existed? Right. And so that's another theory out there. I know there's some people out there throwing around theories of, well, Loki season 2, the TVA is going to arrest Deadpool and Cable for messing around with the timeline, and then we're going to find out that I'm like, what, and so these are some wacky off the wall theories out there about how they're bringing him in. I don't think Hugh Jackman, his version of Wolverine, will be coming back into the MCU after this movie. I do believe they will recast that character, and we will have our own version of him.
Course, yes.
So the question is, are we going to get another universe's Ryan Reynolds version of Deadpool coming into our MCU, or are we going to find out that there's an exact identical version of Deadpool in our MCU? And we don't know.
Yeah.
But he's coming into the MCU somehow.
Right.
And whether it's part of the plot of the movie, whether it's during the movie, whether it's, like you said, a post-credit scene, those are huge questions.
Let me ask you this. When is this movie coming out?
September 2024.
Kevin Feige has announced what new saga all the way through Secret Wars.
The multiverse saga.
Correct. Right. Which tells me that this movie is part of that saga, the multiverse saga, and I think it's going to tie into the multiverse.
So ultimately there may be a collision between Deadpool's universe and our universe, which the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars kind of like is all going to be part of that.
I agree. Yes. I think that's the way it's going to go, which would be smart, right? I mean, we know the multiverse saga is happening. They've announced this movie within the multiverse saga. They're going to tie it in somehow, unless they do a standalone.
Because Kang Dynasty comes out, I believe, in May or July of 2025. So May
Secret Wars comes out in November.
Right, that of 2025. Right.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're going to get Deadpool. So they should answer or at least give us an indication of what's going to happen there during the movie or shortly, it said end credit scene or something.
Again, to hype this up, you bring in Deadpool as an end credit scene somewhere.
In another movie?
In another movie.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. That'd be great. But,
yeah.
I mean, how excited are we, people? We're eating well this week. We really are. I mean, they have been feeding us a lot.
What a news week. I mean,
good, the bad, and the ugly.
This is the type of announcement that we wanted at D23 and didn't get.
Exactly.
And again, I don't know why we didn't get it. It seems like there was stuff going on. And I do believe, Ryan and Blake Lively are having another baby, and I do believe that fed into the delays, and they had to work that out. Like, where are we going to move this? We can't start filming because I'm going to have a baby in February. It's like, what's going on?
But do you start conditioning a lot of these big ticket buyers and a lot of these big fans that are all in that buy the hotel rooms for the week and buy the big ticket for the show and the announcements and go and spend on merch and all that? Do you kind of put a bad taste in their mouth not to do that anymore, knowing that bigger announcements will come at different times?
Again, we have our theories about this. I do believe there are people like you and me that would go to those events and walk out, and we go to the events and we would be disappointed. Yeah. We would be like, I'm glad I'm here, this was great, but I can't believe what they didn't tell us.
Right.
And there are people that go there like, I'm just so happy to be here. This was the greatest Marvel. Thank you so much for having me. We're not those people.
Yeah, I get it.
If you're looking for the kumbaya, Marvel people, that's not us. We're going to give it to you like it is.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
No question.
Well,
huge news.
Yeah, big news week. And again, that announcement by itself made the week.
Really did.
Yeah, and all the other stuff we got this week was also great. So, I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, keep it up, Marvel. Give us one of these every week.
Yeah.
Give us don't let this train stop, because there will be lulls. We've got Werewolf by Night special launching the end of this week, right?
Yep.
Right? We're getting that episode the end of this week. And, we'll review the crap out of it. I'm sure it'll be fantastic. The early reviews of this have been incredibly favorable.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Me too.
We're going to get that. We've got 2 more weeks of She-Hulk. But then we've got basically a month before
Black Adam. We got Black Adam.
No. I'm talking about Marvel.
Oh, okay.
We've got a month between the end of She-Hulk and Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
So Marvel, don't stop the news from rolling. Drop us an Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania trailer.
Oh.
Make some more announcements about castings. Make some more announcements about schedules. Keep the train rolling. Keep that momentum, because you can't just let us sit by and just start. Because that's where all these theories come from. Is people sitting around like, I got to make a video this week. What am I make it on? Here's my great theory about what's going to happen in the TVAs.
We'd rather be talking about real stuff that drops.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
Yeah, and we will, obviously, in October, we will, later this month, in a couple of weeks, Black Adam does come out. We will review that movie, and I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I think it'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Great show. Huge announcement. Deadpool 3 people. Get hyped. Go watch the videos. Awesome. Great job, Professor. Thank you. School's over. Ring that bell.
Well, that's it for us this week. We'll be back next week for more Super Talk. To get in touch with us on social media, hit us up via email, supertalkpodcast@outlook.com, or @supertalkpod on Twitter. Until then, stay super, everyone.
And we're out. Excellent.
Big news this week.
Well, we lose a light in the studio here, huh?
Where'd that light go?
It's a light show. This thing, the
ring
kind of dimmed, yeah.
We kept rolling though.
Hell yeah, it's not gonna light. Shit, the sprinkler system could go off and we'd still be talking.